Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here aboard Celebrity Ascent, and I'm here actually with a lot of cruise planners advisors, and we just got finished with their conference in Fort Lauderdale, and it was actually the biggest conference, and it was where they announced 30 years anniversary in business, and of course $1 billion in sales, two pretty big accomplishments. And the gentleman sitting next to me you may have seen before, because we have interviewed him before. I've known him for a long time, and he is now the Chief Strategy Officer. This is Scott Kepf for Cruise Planners, and we're going to talk to Scott about a whole lot of stuff, really focusing more on training and education and how he's working with the cruise planners advisors to get them even more up to speed and more professional and more easy, really sell even more cruises and land and everything else. And we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more on Insider Travel Report. First of all, it's great to see you on board here. I always enjoy hanging out with you wherever we are in the world, and it was great to be with you during the conference. It's Scott. If you don't know, Scott is a bit of an entertainer. He's a shy guy, but what are you going to do? And he was front and center there, doing a lot of the speaking and a lot of the shows. I would just say at the CP conference. So first of all, let me talk to you a little bit about you've now been with Cruise Planners for about 5 years, I think, right?
Yeah, almost 6.5.
Almost 6.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lost a year there, maybe during COVID.
But, we lost a lot of years.
What's your kind of impression about how this organization, when you first got there, and how it's grown?
Well, I obviously now bleed green, and I love CP and I love Cruise Planners, but it does kind of offer a different perspective because I have been in the industry such a long time, James, and as you say, we've kind of been to all places in the world together and been all over, and because of that perspective of the size of this industry and having been in so many different retail places, in some ways it's full circle for me because I actually started in the franchise.
Yeah, you were in a franchise with Cruise, right?
Yes, yeah. So Cruise Holidays was really the first organization many years ago, and I was with them, and then I've been with other host agencies, consortias, et cetera. And really when I made the decision to make my move 6.5 years ago or so, there was no doubt Cruise Planners is where my sights were set, and I chatted with Michelle at that point, and really, it's I guess I'll say it's all come true. I mean, in other words, the reputation that they had when I wasn't with them was extremely strong, and it just seemed like if I wanted to be in the right place, I wanted to be in the number one place, and really, it's been a phenomenal ride. And like everybody, we had a couple of tough years there. I think we certainly weren't immune to that, but the way that we handled it, as a company, the way that our franchisees stayed positive and stayed focused on what the future will bring, I think is the indication of why we've had the success that we've had this year in particular, is because we really came together during that time and provided the leadership and really provided the network that we have, the community that we have.
And had a chance to really kind of retool and look at yourself and build the business even more. And so now you're at $1 billion sales, right?
Exactly, and it's not only us, because we're constantly doing that. We have an amazing executive team. Again, I've been with many different executive teams over the years, and between Michelle, Teresa, and Brian and myself, it's a very unique group that we have, and we have a great team underneath us, and then we have this extraordinary group of franchisees. So we're always looking at what we can do different, how we can develop, how we can make things better, but also it's to guide them in that same direction so that they as franchisees can constantly be stepping back and saying, what can we do better? How can we be more efficient?
Now, what's your role as Chief Strategy Officer for CP?
I was hoping you'd tell me. I've been trying to figure this out for the longest time.
Michelle's sitting over there. We'll ask her what she had in mind for you back then.
Please. No, really it's to kind of have the holistic kind of look at everything. As you've talked to Michelle and Brian and Teresa, and again we've got this amazing team. And the nice thing is that while we all have our own responsibilities, and I'm primarily overseeing the training functions and the franchise sales side of our business, we're all, and maybe the wrong way to say it, but it's really the right way to say it, we're all in each other's business. In other words, we're all helping each other. We're all thinking about what can we do better in every department. So we don't really live in silos. We have our responsibilities. We have teams that do certain things, but each of us bring a very different perspective based on our background. Teresa was with a supplier for many, many, many years and brings a fabulous background from there. Brian in the tech world, and Michelle and I both started as travel advisors. So we started, at the ground level, and again, Michelle started this company, has been, within Cruise Planners for those 30 years, whereas I had the opportunity to look at from other perspectives and look on the outside. And so bringing all that together has really allowed us to really develop, I think, things that really no one in the industry does have. And that's just not a biased statement. I look very carefully at what all the competitors are doing out there, and we do things different and I think ahead of the curve.
Now, one of the things that you do focus on a lot is training and education of the advisors in the CP network, and you have an incredible schedule of live events. Talk a little bit about those. It's almost like more than 25 live in-person events around the country in addition to the conference, right?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, obviously there's been a lot of focus on online learning, and of course during our unspeakable 2 years, that's all we could do, right? But there is an incredible power of getting together in person. And that's not only just from the presentation standpoint as a trainer and to connect with people on that individual basis with them, but for them to network with each other. And we see that here at our conference. There's a great content that we provide. And obviously we do put on, I think, the most amazing production in the industry in terms of...
There was a little segment with, I think you played Mr. Rogers.
Well, it's Mr. Scott's
Mr. Scott's neighborhood. Mr. Scott's neighborhood, and that's how you interviewed all of your supplier partners, which was kind of an interesting, totally uncreative. I don't know what you're thinking about, but
well, and that is one of the things that drives us too. Is that we don't want to do things like everyone else. We want to be different. We want to, because I'll also say from a learning perspective is we remember things if they're unusual. We remember things if they're funny. We remember things if they are just done a little differently. So not only my panel, but all the panels we do have a very creative element to them, because again, we've been to 100 shows, you and I both, and panels can get kind of like it's the same old story over and over again. So everything that we do in all of those in-person events, we bring in games, interaction, role play, all kinds of other scenarios that we can do so that people can learn. Everybody learns a little differently, but again, we try to always make them really fun, interactive. I'll give you one example. We started a couple of years ago. We have a luxury forum that we do every year, and it's for folks, and it's a limited number, but those who want to build their luxury business. And kind of on accident on the first one we did after post-COVID was we ended up having a meeting in the pool and ended up it was the best networking session that ever occurred, if you can imagine.
As you said, the best networking goes in the pool, right?
It was unbelievable. So now it's literally in the agenda. I mean, now we put it in there.
You formalized the pool meeting.
It's fabulous, and the suppliers love it, and everybody comes in there, and actually we do business while swimming and drinking pina coladas. So it's a fun deal.
Now, if you like that, then maybe you're right for CP.
Yeah, exactly right.
Which actually brings me to the whole thing. Who is the Cruise Planners travel advisor today? What's the profile of the typical one? Is there a typical one?
I mean, that's a great question. First of all, the majority of
the one sits in the pina coladas with the pool.
They're ones maybe the happiest at that moment, that's for sure. But I think the majority of the folks that come to us come from outside the industry. But since obviously you're an industry publication, I'll speak to the industry side of this. Is first of all, in our business in general, not just Cruise Planners, but across our entire industry. The fascinating thing about this business is the differentiation of models, and we're the same within Cruise Planners. We have agencies that focus on just land. We're the number one seller of sandals in the world.
That actually, I mean, I knew that before, but to find out that you were the number one seller of sandals, and a lot of your travel advisors only sell land, and I was like, that was actually astounding statistic to hear.
It really is, and the Cruise Planners name, obviously people would say, well, how can that be? When you think about that, all a brand really is designed to do is to open a door. It's to open a door and then to give credibility. And we do both of those with Cruise Planners. So even if somebody doesn't want to cruise, they'll go, cruises, I get sick on Uncle Ernie's yacht, but they want to talk and I don't just do cruises, I also handle resorts, etc. So it does a fabulous job for us of opening those doors. But the folks that are coming to us from within the industry, we're finding now generally are just basically looking to expand their business, because there's a lot of opportunities in our industry for people to come in part-time, to do it on a small basis, et cetera. And certainly we do have people who come in and work under cruise planners on a part-time basis, but if they really are looking at it as a business and they really want to build their business, part-time or full-time, the main thing they're going to look for are the things that you've been talking to all of us about. It's the marketing, it's the technology, it's the community, it's the training, it's all of those pieces that come together. And we've found that people are finding that we're the ones that are providing really the top end of every one of those pillars, right? So that really is the profile, I'll say, is not so much whether they're land or cruise or groups or individuals. Those profiles are all over the map. We have tons of all of them. The real profile is we're getting people who really want to build a travel business.
Right. And I actually have talked to all kinds of travel advisors. I've talked to people who came over from other hosts, people who came from brick and mortars. I talked to newbies. I talked to everyone. And so you do have a wide range of CP travel advisors in your network.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We don't certainly direct any solicitation to any specific either type or anything else in the industry. We have to be kind of visible, as you know, every publication, talking with you, et cetera, is, we want to be visible, we want to be known, both for the entire industry, but yeah, we want people to know that we're an alternative for them when they're ready to build their business and want to build their business and make the commitment to the business.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything else you want to tell our 126,000 travel advisors out there about CP today and actually this wonderful conference and how much fun we're having on this Celebrity Ascent?
Well, I think there's no doubt it is fun, and the fact is that we are here. We have a number of our advisors on board here, the franchisees. We're continuing to grow. I think, as you mentioned in a couple of these interviews, we're now over $1 billion in sales. I think, in terms of a single brand doing leisure, we're probably, not including maybe one or two of the major online players, we're really the biggest there is in terms of the leisure side of the business. And that matters, and it helps them grow their business because of our size and our clout and what we can do. So there is a fun element, but there's also the business element. And because we provide not only that community, everybody getting together, but also really the opportunity for them to use our technology and our marketing programs and our support system with coaches that are unique to the industry. All of that really equals a great opportunity for someone who doesn't just want to dabble, doesn't want to just make this a hobby, but really wants to build their business.
Well, that's fantastic. And again, I hope we see a return of Mr. Scott's Neighborhood next year.
Come on back. Come on back, James.
That'll be fun. And again, you said this is a fun industry. It's back to being fun after a couple of years there where it wasn't too much fun. And now here we are and cruising and not really worrying as much about things like that we used to. Again, Scott, it's been great. Oh, first of all, where can travel advisors go to find out more about cruise planners?
CruisePlannersFranchise.com. We've got some great videos there. We've got some great information, and we've got some folks that would love to chat with you if you're more serious about joining and would like to answer some questions. Some people, just as an aside, have a thought that, franchises just by the nature is a more expensive avenue. And I think they'll find if you give us a call that we are going to be as good an investment as you'll find. We actually even have people who join us for free based on their book of business, et cetera. So it's not a high cost alternative for people in the business looking to build a business. It really is just a great alternative because we have the one brand that we can focus on.
Well, Scott, again, great to be with you here on the cruise at the conference, and always great to see you. We've been hanging out together for a number of years over this time, and it really is now that you're at CP, it seems like the right place for you.
No, there's no doubt about that. I've found home, and I hope a lot of other people do too.
I think they have. I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.